if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a number. Whoops. $3.8 million. Did everybody see that? Okay. What I tell them is if they were on the ING commercial where everybody's carrying around their million gazillion number, okay, that would be their number. They write it down. They're on a path based on the assumptions they give us at the end of the accumulation phase to have $3.8 million. It's just a number. Everybody with me? Whatever that number is, I want you to write this down. We have the opportunity to do three things with that number. Number one, to make sure it's protected. So in this case, this client's 52 years old. They want to retire at 65. This model's got to go through the world for 13 years. My question is that journey protected? Robbie, no matter what happens, are they still going to get there with at least $3.8 million? Number two, are there opportunities to grow that number? Not by taking more risk, but by finding open doors and open windows and waste that we can recapture and add to their model. And the third thing is to make sure that they can enjoy it any way they want to in retirement without it ever worrying about running out or disinheriting those that they leave behind. So whatever the number is, we're going to try to do three things with it, if the client wants us to. Protect it, grow it, and enjoy it. That's one of the things that makes us different. Any questions? Now, obviously, protection is the first thing that we always talk about. Remember, it's principle number one, correct? Okay. So Jason, let me ask you a question. If they're on a path to create $3.8 million, and we're trying to make sure that journey is protected, and we look at this as being the protection that's currently in place, okay? And we start with the first three drawers of the model, okay? One of the things you need to make note of, okay, is the first three drawers of the model only do one thing. They only protect your assets. They only protect your assets. So Jason, if this client was in an automobile accident, it was their fault, they got sued, there's only one person in the car, and their insurance company's going to pay $100,000 towards that lawsuit. If the lawsuit was for more than $100,000, where's the excess coming from?
Their pocket, their assets.
Right. So how are you going to create 3.8 in the event of a lawsuit? Okay. So now all of a sudden we begin to look at the importance of liability protection. Everybody got that? We go to disability. Justin, $100,000 for disability. Okay. What does disability do? What does disability insurance do?
Well, it covers somebody in case of them getting hurt.
What's that? What, Justin?
Supplements their income in case they can't work.
Okay, so great. So do me a favor. Draw a box. Okay? Okay. It's the disability drawer. Just draw a box. Put $100,000 in it. And I want you to draw two arrows coming out to the left. Because this box has to do two things. If this client's disabled, that $100,000 has to allow he and his family to continue their what? Lifestyle. Good. So put right beside the first arrow is lifestyle. So my question to them is always, if you had a disability, is that amount of benefit going to allow you to maintain your lifestyle? If not, you're going to be in a tough decision. Are you going to keep creating money towards the 3.8, or are you going to begin to take money out for your lifestyle today, which would impact the 3.8? Follow me? The other thing, the other arrow, has to do with wealth building. If I go down here to the savings component of the model, of the 3.8, 1.7, Justin, is coming from what drawer? From their qualified plan drawer, right? A big part of that is coming from the fact that they're putting $25,000 a year away, including the employer match, for retirement. So here's my question. On $100,000, can you maintain your lifestyle and still put 25 grand away so your model still creates 3.8 in retirement? So you've introduced failure. So if we could come up with a strategy to grow and create more benefit, so your lifestyle and your wealth continue to grow, would that be important to you?
Absolutely.
Is there any reason why you wouldn't implement that strategy? Okay, good. You see where we're going with this? Okay. Now, we're going to get down to P9, the life insurance drawer. This is what we're going to focus on. All right, anytime I take a client's data and I load it into the model for the first time, and I'm looking at what are they doing well, what are problems, etc., and I get to the life insurance drawer of the model, P9. Okay? There are 4 different things that I'm looking for in regards to that drawer. Number 1, family security. If somebody in this family, husband, wife, were to die based on that amount of insurance, is the family's financial security okay? Second, do they have term insurance as part of their life insurance portfolio? And if so, do they fully grasp the true cost of term? When I look at that drawer, if they don't have whole life insurance, then my thought is they don't understand the living benefits of whole life. I worked with a couple in Miami. We were taking their data. We got to the life insurance section of their questionnaire. I said, you know what, I see here you don't have any permanent insurance. And I asked why. She goes, I hate life insurance. Why? Because it only benefits those that I leave behind. Interesting. Interesting. I want you to write that down. When we finish our meeting, we'll come back to that statement. I'm going to show you how we educated her and came back to statement, and she completely did a 180. She doesn't understand the living benefits of her of owning permanent life insurance. The last thing, the concept and the important role of asset insurance. So, how do I get the client to understand that the amount of insurance that they own is or is not putting the family's financial security in jeopardy? There's 2 ways. There's 2 ways. Again, it's not my opinion. They've got to discover it. The first way is up here. Do you see this assumptions tab? Okay. If I click on that assumptions tab down here, current status, I'm showing the husband working between now and age 65. You see that? If that happens and the husband works between now and 65 based on his assumptions that built in the model, we see that the model will build how much wealth? 3.8. All I do is if I go here and go is working to he walks out of my office, gets hit by a bus, suffers a premature death, all I do is click on that and click on OK. What happens to the bottom right-hand number? It goes from 3.8 to what? 2.2. So it's $1.6 million difference when all of a sudden that family has to rely on their assets and his current life insurance to get to the same point. You understand that? What do you think mom says as soon as she sees that number and she's sitting there in the meeting? She like that? Now, is that a lot more powerful than me going, you don't have enough life insurance? If you're okay, fly that plane, perfect conditions, 3.8, you die today, your family ends up at 2.2. Is that what you really want? Yes, Bert, Derek, excuse me.
Did you plug in an age where that premature death occurred, or did you
Today.
just assume it was that?
Today.
Okay.
So all I did, the software did, is Derek, is it took, you can see here, the 580,000. See it coming out of the life insurance drawer? Okay. If I go down here, all it's doing is they're putting it into the model. You can see there, 580,000. Okay. Going in to now be spent to continue to maintain a lifestyle, build in all the assumptions, and the result is I'm $1.6 million light of where I would have been had I what? Okay. Lived. All right. Any questions about that? Yes, Justin.
What is that second number next to the 2.2 at the bottom?
Okay. Talking about right,
Yeah, you might have already said it.
the 592?
That, yeah.
Okay. Well, in this case, what that is the 580,000 of life insurance death benefit plus another $12,000 of monies they're putting in for premiums and savings and growth inputs. Make sense? Great question. So again, that's one of the ways we sit there and we create, based on their assumptions, a model and an outcome. In this case, a 3.8. We kill him, okay? And all of a sudden the number goes to 2.2. Mr. and Ms. Klein, do you see that as a problem? If it is, then we need to go to work for a solution. Any questions about that? Give you another way to do it. We could simply go to a calculator. There is such a thing called a family security calculator. Now, when I use this with a client, I'll turn to the husband and I'll say, you're dead. We're going to assume you're dead, so you can't talk for the next 5 to 10 minutes. They kind of chuckle. Okay? And I turn to the wife and I grab their model and I go, okay, now together you and I are going to see how much income we can squeeze out of this model to replace him. Nothing we can do to replace him as a husband, as a father, but financially, we're trying to replace his impact. Let's see if we can do that together. Okay? So up comes this calculator. Okay? Now, all we're going to do is if I click this auto button, S1 through S6 is what of the model? What do we call that? Parking lot. So all I'm going to do is click the auto button there, and over comes their savings, their money market, and their CD. They currently have $100,000. So my question to her, okay, Mark, is would you use all of it, part of it, or none of it? What's she going to say? What? I'm not going to use any of it. Okay, if she does, then we just what? We click the auto button and out it goes. Okay? She says part of it, then I'll type in part. Most of the time, Mark, she says, well, God, of course I need to use all of it. Okay? All right? Then we would go here to marketable securities. Click the auto button, there's $250,000 sitting in a non-qualified account. Would you use all of it, part of it, or none of it to replace his income? She typically says what? All of it. Okay? We go down here to life insurance. Okay? P9. There's $580,000 you got a check from the insurance company. You go use all of it, part of it, or none of it. What does she say? All of it. Okay, so what we see here is you've got about $930,000. Now, would you want to go ahead and take a premature distribution from his qualified plan? Or do you want to let it sit there and grow? What does she typically say? Let it grow. Take it out. Okay? Is there anything else we don't know about? Nope. Okay? Are you planning to sell your primary residence, downsize, and live off of the equity? What does she say? You lost your mind? Okay? No. Is there any other real estate? Nothing. Great. Final expenses. Okay? Well, the way this is going, I'm going to just bury him in a hole in the backyard, so it won't be anything. Okay? But typically $2,500. Okay? Now, any debts to be paid off. There was a car loan and a mortgage. Okay? She says, well, here's a car. I didn't really like it. I'd sell it, pay it off. We're good there. Any federal estate taxes? Yes or no? Why? First death, right? Okay? Any state inheritance taxes? Typically not. Income taxes, if they're called up, none. Okay? Now, would she want to go ahead and pay off the mortgage? Yes or no? Yeah, every day, no time. So we take $150,000. Okay? Put that in there. Education fund. Well, they had $20,000 a year for 2 years for graduate school, right? Remember that was in the assumptions? Yeah, I'd love to go ahead and fund that. Great, there's 40 grand that we take off the top. Now, Mark, okay, we sit there and look at, okay, well, we've taken $100,000 of your parking lot. You want to create additional money in savings. Yes. Well, yeah, I do. Okay, what would you want? Well, let's say I'd like to have 50,000 in savings.